This is the Royals POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Kansas City Royals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
The Royals swept by the Chicago White Sox on the South Side. We'll break down what mattered most on tonight's Royals POSTCAST. I'm Chance Liebau, your host of Post Game Reaction here on the Locked On Royals channel and everywhere you get your podcasts on demand. Thank you so much if you're here joining us live. Tonight, we'll be breaking down the most important plays of the game, who stood out, and the topic you'll be talking about with your friends as the Royals drop their third in a row, and they are now 2-6 since being a game back in the American League Central. A half game back in the American League Central after they took the first two against the Cleveland Guardians. And this team looks really bad right now. This is a team that does not have much of an identity at this point of the season. This is a team that looked dead in this series. And there's no way to sugarcoat it. This is not a very good baseball team at this juncture right now. Anthony Kay and Eric Fetty, two guys that were playing indie ball or overseas a couple of years ago, shoved it in their outings this series. Noah Schultz yesterday got roughed up a little bit, but the Royals bullpen and the Royals pitching staff laid a big fat egg. I know that the offense for the Royals has been a bit of a talking point, and as it should. But this series against a White Sox team that has one thumper and a bunch of jags, this pitching staff sucked. And I just think that right now, the Royals pitching staff has not done themselves any favors. Maybe they're a little bit overworked, but let's talk about Kris Bubic's outing because, boy, it was not pretty tonight from the start.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Well, the White Sox offensively, the last couple of games have gotten just enough to beat the Royals. And tonight against Kris Bubic, they just had his number. Kris Bubic has actually pitched pretty well against the White Sox the last couple of years. Looking at his numbers on the night, the raw numbers for Kris Bubic as he finishes tonight, 6 innings, that's Anthony Kay. 4 innings, 5 hits, 5 earned, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. The home run to Randall Grichuk, who really had the Royals number tonight for one reason or another. Gives up 7 hard hit balls, average exit velocity 94.5. Changeup got hit hard. He did not throw his changeup very much. He was 60% first pitch strike rate. Very heavy on the fastball first time through the order. Very much a heavy fastball. Nearly 50% usage on his fastball, and that's not even including his sinker on that first time through the order. And the White Sox saw it well. Kris Bubic does not have an overpowering arsenal of pitches, and we've talked about this a couple of times this season. Or not this season, but in the last couple of seasons when we've done these post-game shows. But Kris Bubic has had his struggles when he cannot get one of his pitches for a strike. He becomes a 2-pitch pitcher, and when you have a bunch of righties in the order like the White Sox did tonight, they countered the left-handed pitcher with a bunch of right-handed batters. It's not unbeknownst to the other 29 teams in Major League Baseball. But tonight, the Royals did not pitch very well to those righties. Randall Grichuk homers. It felt like the at-bats just could not get over with. The White Sox were attacking early on. You look at the lineup tonight, Mydroth finishes 2 for 3. Hill has another good outing. Acuna had a couple of good plate appearances. The Royals tonight just did not pitch very well to a lineup that was not all that great. They walked Murakami 3 times. I understand he's a tough out, and he's probably the one guy in the lineup you want to pitch around. If you're going to pitch around Murakami, if you're going to walk him 3 times, you better get the other eight guys out. And that was not the case for the Royals tonight. They just cherry-picked at the edge of the zone all night like they have all season. Kris Bubic finishes the night with a total 30, or sorry, that's Avila. He was 36% in the zone. Bubic 49% in the zone, 38% with the slider. I deem it fastball breaking stuff fastball breaking stuff off speed. Fastball is your fastball, sinker. Off speed is your changeup, splitter, and breaking stuff is slider, curveball, slurve, sweeper, whatever you want to call that version of a breaking ball. He's got 3 pitches. And one of them isn't. When one of them isn't working, it's really ugly. And tonight, Kris Bubic just did not have very good stuff against the White Sox, who, to their credit, we've seen the Royals this season just pitter-patter their way through series finales and not take advantage of it. They're now, I thought I saw the number today. I know Scott Wildcat tweeted it out, but the Royals have a pretty bad record in the final game, series closing games this season. They just have wanted to get out of town, it feels like, when they have these kind of outings. And to the White Sox credit tonight, they smelled blood in the water. They sensed a Royals team that was, reading their press clippings and knowing how bad they've been, and they played like it tonight. If you were to tell me one of these teams was a young hotshot team that was playing for to prove everybody wrong, and you were telling me one team has had a pretty disappointing start to the season, by the body language, you could tell that tonight, and you can tell it throughout this entire series. The White Sox were a much more motivated team, and I've been reserved in criticism of Matt Quatraro, but I think that the morale of the team right now, it needs a little bit of a jolt. Maybe it's an addition to the roster. Cam Meisner being called up, bringing in just another body to come off the bench, so you don't have to see Elias Diaz take reps. You don't have to play. If they just wanted to add some juice, and the tough part about it is, last year at this time when the Royals were struggling offensively, it was like, well, just wait for Jack. Jack's going to get here soon. Just be patient. Well, that's not the case right now for the Royals. They don't have anybody that's close. Blake Mitchell, I know people were talking in the chat about him last night, but Blake Mitchell's at least a year away, if not more. And he's a guy that you want to talk about a frustrating at bat. He is a true three outcomes guy. He either strikes out, walks, or he hits a homer. He is that to a T. So it's not like they have reserves on the way that are, just right there. I mean, they are. Carson Rockefeller is in Double-A right now. That would be kind of your lifeline to save you if this outfield continues to disappoint. But right now, it just felt like tonight the Royals finish offensively. We'll talk about the offense, but they just didn't have any kind of life. It just felt like they were waiting for somebody to step up. And, I'll be critical of Vinny Pasquantino here for a little bit. He's actually had some good stuff here recently, offensively on the field, but I will go into this. Vinny Pasquantino is the vocal leader of this team. Salvador Perez has kind of given that right to him because Vinny is this next era of Royals baseball as a leader. Salvy's not going to be here for another 5 years. It's kind of Vinny's team as a, vocal leader, the rah-rah guy. And, the game against Cleveland last week, after he poo-poos himself and says, yeah, I've been absolute, insert blank here. I've been absolute dog you-know-what this season with runners on base. I have to be better. And he's just pouting. And there are a lot of young guys on this team. Isaac Collins is in year 2. Caglianone's in year 2. Jensen's in year 2. When you see the, leader of your team, the guy that is in every media setting, when he is on every single podcast, MLB is doing features of him on social media. When that guy is the leader of your team and he's over there pouting because he's been, this is all about me. I've been bad. I haven't been doing this right. I haven't been doing this. I understand taking accountability for it, but man, stop pouting. Get better. This woe is me BS. It's done. You're in year 4 in the league right now. This stuff would be cute if you were in year 1 and you got to be better. You've been doing this for 3 years now. Somebody in that locker room, and I think Starling Marte is one of those guys that really has, if you listen to some of the guys talk to the media, Starling Marte has been one of those guys that has been a good leader on this team. But somebody's got to drop the hammer and say, this stuff is done. Like, I understand that you want the manager to come in and do that. I don't think that does very much as somebody who I'm kind of this generation. I'm 24 years old. I can relate generationally to some of the guys on the team. I think that they see more, they respect the opinion of one of their peers more than they do their manager coming in and saying, hey guys, we got to be better. It'd be a heck of a lot more, you'd see a heck of a lot more results if you saw, hey, Vinny Pasquantino comes to the locker room and just MFs everybody, or Bobby Witt Jr. comes in and just says, we can't do this anymore. There has to be somebody drop the hammer down and make some changes. And right now, I understand that you want the manager to do that. Listen, he's the guy that turns the lineup card in. He's not a babysitter. That's not what he does. He turns the lineup card in and he makes the changes in the game. That's all he does. He's not there to babysit. That's not what this is. He is there to make sure that the 9-man lineup is the correct one. And whether that's your choice or not, I could care less. But it's on the players at this point. And they just haven't been good enough. And frankly, I think they're doing a really bad job of setting the example for some of the younger guys because they're seeing that, hey, it's okay to play bad as long as you pout in as long as you pout and show emotion. That's just not the case. They have to be better. They have to show some real improvement on the field, because tonight they were absolutely awful against the guy that was pitching an indie ball just 2 years ago. All right, let's get to the offense. We'll get to that when we come back here on the Royals Postcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Rocket Money. If you've ever opened your bank account and thought, where did all my money go? You're not alone. Keeping track of subscription spending and bills can get overwhelming fast. That's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of your finances all in one place. It automatically categorizes your spending so you can actually see where your money is going. And you can set budgets, get alerts, and stay on top of upcoming bills. It just makes everything feel more organized and gives you a clearer picture of your finances day to day. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here and every possession matters. If you're looking to get even closer to the action, FanDuel has a great offer to get you started. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right, turn $5 into $150 in bonus bets just for getting started. I like using FanDuel during the playoffs because everything I need is right there in one place. You can check stats, trends, and matchups before making your picks, which makes the whole experience feel a lot more informed. It's a really easy app to navigate, and it makes playoff basketball even more engaging from start to finish. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. All right, let's talk about the offense, because tonight they were 0 for 5 tonight. Left 8 runners on base. They just did not put together great at-bats. In total, we've talked this season. I'm a advanced analytics guy. I like looking at expected batting average, hard hit balls, exit velocity. That might not be your cup of tea, but me personally, it is. Against Anthony Kay tonight, just 5 hard hit balls. They had 3 against Tyler Davis in the 7th inning. None of them would come to pass. Sean Newcomb gave up 3 hard hits in his 2 innings of work, and the Royals just weren't able to capitalize on the bullpen because they were out of reach by then, because Kris Bubic did not have great stuff tonight. But the offense, it seems to be a real issue. I actually, after the show last night, I went and kind of looked at the at-bats and kind of re-went through everything. And I even thought to myself, they got a lefty going tomorrow. The only change I would make would be Kyle Isbell in the lineup. He's in center. Salvi goes from DH to behind the plate. Marte goes to DH. And that's the lineup from there. And I actually honestly thought that you move Nick Lofton up, move Marte up, and just have a little bit of spacing. And that's basically what happened, except for Lofton and the guys moving. It just felt like the lineup tonight, you got not so great performances out of some key guys that you needed in the middle of the lineup. Vinny Pasquantino continues to struggle against lefties. Would love to see him get a day off against the lefty, but the Royals are kind of in a tough spot right now without Jonathan India, who is that right-handed bat that you could play against lefties. He's down for the season, and there's not really a right-handed bat on the 40 other than Tyler Tolbert down in AAA. And you got a bad night out of Isaac Collins. Kyle Isbell had his struggles until he had that triple, I believe, in the 7th inning. It just felt like the Royals tonight, or actually it was the 6th inning, the final inning against K. But the Royals tonight, the lineup, you finish with 7 total hits. Only one guy finishes with multiple. It was Salvi, and he didn't even have a super great game. My issue with the Royals right now is the fact that the stars are performing, really, really well. Maikel Garcia finishes with 3 hard hit balls tonight. He's actually been on a bit of a tear here recently. Bobby Witt Jr., everybody knows he is hot as scorching earth. Vinny Pasquantino is starting to pick it up recently. But other than that, and Isaac Collins, you can throw him in that category as well. But other than that, in the lineup, you're getting a really rough month out of Salvador Perez. He's been awful since the start of May. You're getting really bad stuff out of Lane Thomas. I think that now it's time to move him out of the 3-hole against lefties. Maybe you move Nick Lofton or Starling Marte there, or you move Salvi up 1. But I think that his days in the 3-hole against lefties is over. He's struggling right now. He finishes with a hit and an RBI tonight, but I still feel like he's not been great. You've gotten really bad stretches out of the young guys. Carter and Kaggs have both really hit a wall since getting off to those hot starts. And other guys just have not been doing very well. Nick Lofton has had his ups and downs. He's had some clutch moments, but when he's been in the starting lineup, has not been able to produce. Michael Massey, he's hit a couple of clutch home runs for the Royals, but other than that, he hasn't walked in the month of May. He struck out over 20% of the time in the month of May. When you look at their numbers for the month of May, it was like, okay, they finally got enough out of those guys at the top of the lineup. But there were some concerning signs that the guys near the bottom were really starting to struggle. And really go back to their averages where you kind of expected them to be. I've said multiple times on here, you can hit 250 in a season. You're going to hit 300 for a week. You're also going to hit 200 for a week. And that's just kind of how it evens out. You're going to go through ebbs and flows of a season. That's just how baseball works. And it feels like we're in the, valley of some of those guys like Cags and Carter. They weren't going to hit 280 all season. They were probably going to average out around 230 to 250. And they are in a real rut right now. Caglione had an at-bat tonight. He's started to really struggle. He's not good off the bench. He has had one clutch home run this season. Other than that, he's been awful in really high leverage situations. We talked about it last night, 3 for 35 in high leverage with half of those at-bats ending in strikeouts. Carter Jensen has had his struggles, although I wouldn't have minded seeing him in the lineup tonight after having a couple of hits last night off the bench. Not in the lineup tonight, doesn't even get an opportunity to pinch hit. And, they're going to face more lefties this season. I'm all for starting Lane Thomas and Starling Marte against left-handed pitching. That's my MO. That doesn't have to be yours. I think that they are being paid millions of dollars to hit lefties. They need to be in the lineup against lefties. But they're starting to really struggle. And I just feel like they need to have everybody balanced at the right time. This is not a, elite level team. They're just not an elite level team at this point right now. And the good part is the fact that, hey, they're in the American League, which is an absolute slodge in the middle right now. And an above average to average team might sneak into the playoffs. They have hope. And, hope is a terrible drug, but it at least will give you a little bit of motivation to try and improve this roster when things come down to this next couple of weeks. And I just think that the Royals need to assess where their strengths and weaknesses are at and really start to feel like really start to improve at the margins of this roster. It's tough because, what of the 13 guys, other than Elias Diaz, which of the 13 guys are you getting rid of that are currently on the roster and employed as hitters in this lineup? I mean, the guys that are routinely on the bench are Diaz, Lofton. You're getting Diaz, Lofton, Marte, and Lane Thomas. I don't want, other than Diaz, like 2 of those guys have to stick around to hit against lefties. And one of those guys is Starling or Lane Thomas, who is not one of the worst hitters on the team, but he's at least a competent piece sometimes. I mean, he's struggled recently, but I don't think that he's a guy that you can just give up on because you're paying him $5 million. Like, there's not really a move that you can make right now. There's not a move that you can make right now that makes sense, that you can really hang your hat on and say they have to make this move at this point right now. There's just not one of those moves like there was last year when it was calling up Jack Caglione, or 2 years ago when it was, well, we got to get some right-handed hitting. We got to get some infield depth. We need to go get a leadoff guy in the offseason. There's not really a slam dunk move. The fact of the matter is the players that are on the roster have to play better right now. They have to play to their expectation, or this team is going to flounder and they're going to be thinking about selling off some pieces, which is unfortunate in the long-term scheme of things because, prospects don't, I'd rather have parades than prospects. I'm somebody who, I know there are a lot of anarchists here that are like, sell everybody, trade Bobby, trade Vinny, trade Salvi, trade everybody. Like, I understand there are some anarchists out there. I'm not one of those guys. I would rather root for a team chasing something in September than root for lottery ping pong balls in December. That's just me as a fan. I want to have something to cheer for, and I want you to have something to cheer for. We do better here on the channel when the Royals do better. I want people to keep showing up because they want to watch Royals baseball games. I'm selfish in that, and I hope you guys still continue to, despite the Royals' struggles here recently. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Looks like the Royals have a 7:15 first pitch in St. Louis tomorrow. So it'll be a little bit of a late show. So coming up tomorrow night, be sure to tune in right here on the Locked On Royals channel. Appreciate you guys for being here and suffering through this with us. We will see you tomorrow night for another edition of the Royals Postcast on the Locked On Royals channel.